just when you think you can dream to be in another echelon, then the property goes up, and you have to start thinking, is that not like a human rights violation? Because now this thing's gonna lead to homelessness. But I mean, you're homeless, but you're a manager at work, bro.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the On the podcast.
Am I allowed to swear there?
In Sweden.
Yeah, I know we said let's not blame the government.
It's just sad when we start them becoming indoctrinated. Your view on me.
Good day, everyone. This is the On the Contrary podcast with Emilio, Tobias. Thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for subscribing. And if you found this video this time, I wonder what I said in the description to make the algorithm find you. Today is a story about people's outrage. Let me get straight to it. There's an apartment, a specific apartment that has gone viral on TikTok. 2-bedroom apartment in Greenpoint for 22,000 Rand a month. Now, is that expensive? Yes. Is it Cape Town expensive? I don't know. But people are outraged. If you check all the tweets going around, and I'm wondering if these tweets aren't just like us jumping into things that have nothing to do with us. Like me complaining about the price of building a stadium. I have no business building a stadium. I can't afford it, even if it was cheap. So are we just complaining? Is this just South African complaining about things that are outside of our tax bracket? We are the types of people who are buying bottles and clubs. We don't have a pattern of saving, myself included. I'm talking about myself. We don't like saving, and then we complain when people who make just as much money as us spend their money better and are able to do better things. So the rent in Cape Town, 22,000 for undeserving. I saw an article, briefly.co.za, undeserving of 22,000 a month. Is this that issue where foreigners are is it foreigners who are manually inflating the prices, or is it just because of the demand for dollars is so high? So when you come here with your South African rand, it's tough. But let's watch. There's a virtual tour that the guy did. It's not a virtual tour. It's just a video, actually. There's a tour of the place on TikTok. Let's watch it, and then we see what the issue is here. And then I have some ideas on how we can fix this type of problem, or what we should start thinking about once our country starts becoming so desirable, contrary to popular belief. Or maybe it's just you're gonna say it was only Cape Town. Let's see.
Hi, here we are at our latest rental property that we have. It's on 135 Main Road in Greenpoint, which is...
Okay, is this guy... So number one, he's a foreigner, so maybe he got his conversions off slightly. That is not a South African accent. Correct me if I'm wrong. That sounds like Swedish, German, those Germanic... Is it Germanic Austria? It's next to Germany. It sounds like that type of accent. So, yo, bruh, you know the prices are going up when Europeans are real estate agents in South Africa. That's funny. But also, so far, this apartment, nothing about it says Cape Town per se. There's apartments like this in Pretoria. There's apartments like this in Joburg. I don't know about the other cities, but I've seen apartments with this style.
It's very close to the stadium, as you could see. But the nice thing is the apartment is right at the back of the building, which is very quiet. Let's have a look. Okay, behind this door.
It's funny how they're able to turn a negative into a positive. The apartment's at the back of the building, which means it's very quiet, which means it's also very cold. For some reason, I know this apartment is colder than the others.
There is actually a storeroom, so there are a couple of storerooms in there. Has got wooden floors, some shelving, it's about 7 square meters. Yeah, here we are at the back of the building, which you can hear is very quiet. It's Sydney Street. And you have got a parking bay right in front of the garage, which is secured by cameras. And you have got a lock-up garage. And the apartment is very close by. Yeah, so okay, we have a 2-bedroom apartment. Let's have...
Number one, this apartment is not fancy. It might be like in a safe area, but it's not fancy. It's standard. It's nice, but it's just a standard. And this building looks like a building the 80s. It feels like that style. I can see with the brick, I can see with the floors, and I can see with the wooden framing around the doors. I have family who have houses in the style, and they had houses in the 90s. In very nice suburbs, but this is like a 80s, 90s style house. Nothing fancy, nothing to write home about. I lived in a 2-bedroom apartment before, and the rent 5 years ago, okay, they stopped increasing the rent in COVID, but the highest I paid was 6.5. Probably if it wasn't for COVID, it would have been 7,000 for a 2-bedroom apartment. So I'm gonna be using that as a comparison, and that was me in Johannesburg in the south, in a safe-ish area.
Have a look at the living room. Very nice, cozy lounge.
Okay.
What I love is this big balcony, and it gets very nice afternoon sun, but of course, winter, the sun is almost down.
So lounge, my lounge was not much smaller than that, but this is a nicer lounge. And it's not like one with the kitchen. So from my 6.5, I'm estimating right now, I'm willing to go up to 8, 9, maybe 10K for rental so far, just based on the lounge.
The second bedroom is currently used as a study.
Or storeroom. Home is a cyclist, so he does have money.
The bathroom has got an instant hot water cylinder, which saves quite a bit on electricity.
Bigger bathroom. We're 11 now.
And the kitchen has got plumbing for washing machine and dishwasher, and the oven, and there's an induction hob. And it's prepaid electricity. Obviously, you bring your own fridge and appliances.
Still at 11, 12.
Nice.
Like the kitchen is better than mine, so I'm gonna inch it up a little bit. Bedroom is also much bigger. We're at 14. I'm willing to pay 14. I can't afford 14. But at this point, 14,000 does not warrant outrage.
Bedroom with lots of cupboard space. The apartment will be painted out before.
My apartment where I stayed, you had to decide if you're having a double bed or queen or king size bed. You and your partner must decide who wants to crab out of their space and who's going to have space to walk straight. So the apartment I was in on the side was this much bigger on each side of the bed. There was that much space left. So
the new tenants move in. Okay, call us if you want to view. Thank you.
22,000.
If you want to view. Thank you.
22,000. Yeah, no. Not 22, guys. Maybe 16. Let's say that apartment maybe costs 1.4 million, so the bond should be about 12,000. My understanding, which is a thing I learned recently, you think that buying an apartment and being a renter is such a wise financial decision, but it's not that simple, because as far as I understand, generally, when you are still paying off a property and people are renting inside, the rent that they're paying is not even equal to you paying the bond and you paying rates and taxes. Ne? So if you are paying rates and taxes plus the bond, let's say that's 10K, it's likely that the rental you be asking for would be closer to 8,000 and you would have to pay like 2,000 to top it off, which in the long run, once the property now is in your name or the property is paid off, then it starts to be profitable to be renting something. But for the 20 years where you're just paying extra 2,000 in, it does help you because most of your bond is taken care of, and then obviously here and there's insurance and stuff break and whatever the case might be. But you must be financially sound to go into the rental game because it's going to benefit you in 15, 20 years once the thing is paid off and then the money is real good and then your rent is not crazy. But it seems because of what's going on in Cape Town, which I guess would be normal, people are charging rent that's way above the bond, the rates and taxes, and all those things. So I think people are now starting to be able to charge above that, and I don't know what the adverse effects of that is. Tell me if I'm wrong. Okay, I read that property prices have increased 160% since 2010, 160%. That's in Cape Town. Now, they're saying Germans, Americans, people from Switzerland, what do you call them? Swiss? Which I think this guy is Swiss. This real estate guy. These guys have been buying up apartments because yes, Cape Town is a beautiful thing and they can afford it. It's cheap to them. Because think about it now. Because of the exchange rate, but exchange rate isn't everything, man. People think exchange rate is the economy, but because it's the easy way to explain how good things are, because our exchange rate is way better than South Korea, but doesn't mean South Korea's economy is worse than ours. So imagine you buying a $1 million apartment. Nah, you buying a $1 million apartment, or maybe you're buying a $1 million apartment. You know how many millionaires there are in America. Anyone is making $1 million, or anyone can afford. The same way you can afford a R1 million apartment, a lot of people can afford $1 million apartment in America. That's just because the base at which they're getting paid at allows them to be able to take out bonds where they'll be paying off $1 million. Now, you take that $1 million, you go to Clifton, you go to Sea Point, you go to these places, you're buying a 22 million rand house. A 2 million rand house, a 22 million rand house is a big house. 22 million rand house is a big house. Now, imagine anyone who has a little bit more than $1 million. Anyone who has $5 million comes to South Africa. You have the biggest house in South Africa with $5 million. There's 200 million or something. I don't know if I'm calculating right. 200 million, 100 million house. So now, you sitting here as a South African, your house is going for 1 million rand and it's close to houses that Americans are buying. Everyone else's prices are going up. You're also going to want to sell. Let them turn your Arma house into a parking lot. That's mad because now, as South Africans, we cannot dream. There's some areas now that we can't dream even to go to because someone else has found a gem there. And that's the thing people don't understand of, I'm sorry to say, because I'm not that guy, the issues of apartheid that is stopping us even now to be able to progress forward. Because the ones who had are now in the position, the ones who had those properties since the 80s, 90s or before, are now in the position to be able to sell their properties at this exorbitant prices. Us who are coming up now, who are now second, maybe third generation professionals, growing, based on what our fathers and our grandparents have built, and we're slowly growing. Just when you think you can dream to be in another echelon, ne, then the property goes up. Because South Africa, I think Johannesburg might even be a worse example, but South African towns have been designed in a manner like no other cities in the world. The town planning of the cities, or the city planning, they put all the black and colored people, Indian people, far away. I don't know about Indian people, far away from the CBD. When the general rule for city planning is that your low-cost housing and your poorer people will live closer to the places where they work, so that they don't have to commute. That's why in New York, the urban areas, black areas, the urban areas is where the inner cities are, low-cost housing, but that's where the blue-collar workers and the people who are working the lower jobs stay. The richer people are the ones that live out in the suburbs of New York, or that live in the Albanese. Do you know what I mean? They don't live in the inner city. So now, towns like Joburg, Cape Town, I don't know about the other South African cities, where your low-income people are living so far. That's why the taxi industry is what it is. It's because most of us are spending crazy amounts to get to work. And then the rich people live around the corner from work, which is weird for any economy. Because now you can't even work hard enough to save, because 60% of your salary is going to traveling. Now these properties are going up. We can't afford it. We can't afford it. If you're from Cape Town, Joburg, I don't know, Joburg, they're trying to gentrify, which is much needed, because we've had the opposite of gentrification, and we might need a little bit of gentrification to get us to be a normal city again. I'm saying us as if I live there. But if you're from Cape Town, have you seen the rentals going up crazy like this? Or are they, let me know if they are decent, affordable, safe places to live in Cape Town. All three in the triangle. Is it safe? Is it cheap? Is it decent? Let me know in the comments. Now they're saying, there's a number they're saying that the people who have been buying property up like this in Cape Town have been able to make a 10% profit, so to speak, or 10%, that number that I spoke about, where you generally, the rental is below what you're paying for the bond, or below what it costs you to run the property. They've been making 10%. They've been making 10% over, either from rentals or from rather doing Airbnb. So now apartments are staying empty and no one can stay in them, because maybe we're to blame. Did we not ask and push for tourism so badly? We asked and we pushed for tourism. Maybe Patricia de Lille is too good at her job, because now it is wiser for you to run your property as an Airbnb, make 10% over and pay off your apartment, make it pay for itself. Now, this thing is going to lead to homelessness. It's going to lead to homelessness, because now the people who were just able to afford the R1 million apartments, those R1 million apartments are now 2, 3, 4 million rand. Now you, who've been working your way up, you need to go back now to what used to cost 300,000, 400,000 or 500,000, and it's going to trickle back like that. Luckily for them, the townships are far away, and where the townships are touching the inner cities, they're just going to expand, like what Israel is doing in Gaza. They're just going to expand and push people away and further away from the cities, which is weird. And you have to start thinking, is that not like a human rights violation? Because now this thing's going to lead to homelessness. But I mean, you're homeless, but you're a manager at work, bro. You're making a manager salary, but you're homeless. You can't afford nothing. That's rough, man. Like, and I wonder if we should explore the idea, because we sometimes don't want to see mafias for what they are. Is there not a now I'm conspiracy theory now, is there not a considered effort to raise property values like this, and are people not what's this word, colluding and conspiring to raise property values to increase their property portfolios, but also in some ways make Cape Town or the Western Cape its own country, which is what they've been trying to do. And it's being powered by foreigners, but the ones here who can and are able are the ones that aren't complaining about this thing. They're not complaining about it. But you who are about to make it in life, you now need to go back, and homelessness is an option for you. Maybe there needs to be a brain, speaking all over the place, maybe there needs to be like a brain drain from Cape Town into the other smaller towns, that those smaller towns can also expand and start becoming bigger cities, more housing, more affordable housing, all those things. But here's the idea that I want to explore. Now, imagine you're a teacher earning 20,000, earning 30,000, and at the end of the month you must pay 22,000 rent, just so you can be close enough to the school, and then you are still driving a score. I think this is like it really has to be a thing that the competition commission must look into, because their job is to ensure that there are fair market practices going on. There must be fair enough competition. People must not behave in a manner where they want to monopolize, where they are price fixing. Because even look at this 22,000 rand apartment, I'm wondering if other listings, let's ask Grok. What are the prices of the other listings in that same apartment building? Because what would price fixing be? Let's distract everyone with this cack apartment at the back. If it's an apartment at the back of the estate or the building, it's the worst apartment. The other ones are better. So let's risk this one. And these people own multiple apartments in the same blocks. That's usually how it works. You buy 3 or 4, or after you buy one and it starts, your bond, it starts getting reduced, then you buy another one because now you can afford to pay that surplus. Then you take that last worst one that no one has to rent out, you make it 100,000. When you make that 100,000, you bring all the others up to 20. In this case, they make 22. Then you bring all of these up from 12, you bring them to 15. So when people are looking for apartments and they see that in this complex or in this block of flats, there's an apartment that's just like this one, it's going for 22. I was expecting 12, but 15 is a bargain. That is collusion. But I know it's tricky to get evidence of those things. Where's Grok? The story about the 22k rent for 2 bedrooms in Cape Town. Are you able to find what other apartments in the same building are going for? Let's see. Guys, these investigation things are simple. Let me tell you. These investigation things are simple. If you really want to know something, like a disgruntled girlfriend, you can find anything on anyone on the internet. There's so many things that are public knowledge. No, man, they did. Ooh, the other ones are worse. 23,000 for 2 bedrooms. 27,000 for 2 bedrooms. And what are people doing with these things? Guys, we must make, not white friends per se, we must make friends with people with money. because there's something they know about money that the rest of us don't know. And you'll be surprised if you just sit down and listen to someone who is used to having money. We must accept that we know we haven't had money for a long time. And even those of us who have a lot of money quick don't know how to use it. People from Cape Town or people in South Africa that's noticing these things going on are these development companies or these foreign real estate agents or whoever it might be. Do you think they are having discussions the same way Pick n Pay and ShopRite will have discussions to increase the price of bread together? Do you think they're having those types of discussions to increase this rent and slowly move us out and then create their own situation in Cape Town, in some parts of Joburg? Let me know what you think. The other solution, and it's unfortunate when we have to look to government to do more, what they call those things, socialist, communist type of practices. But in a situation like this, where our property is running away with us, or the country is becoming the thing that happened to, a similar thing happened in San Francisco. In San Francisco, that's where Silicon Valley is. Silicon Valley and the surrounding areas, they created this IDZ type of a place where all the tech companies would go and people would put up buildings. And because these tech companies are young 22-year-olds, young CEOs of 30, 40 years old, with a lot of disposable income, these companies pay a lot. As much as they all operate in a small town, their business is global. So what happens is, because everyone is earning so much, the rent started going up, and people, as Silicon Valley grew and people were willing to live further, San Francisco rent started going up, and hardworking people who've had their homes for years and years were being bought out of their houses. And yes, it's true that some people even went homeless from the surge in prices. Because sometimes if you think you're going to be strong, you're going to stay in your apartment because no one can push you out, then the municipality ups the rates. The rates start to become a thing that you can't afford. Then you have to leave and give it to this 23-year-old, sell it to this 23-year-old who can afford whatever. But now, do we look to government to say, hey man, we do need some socialist intervention, like doing a rent cap, doing like a cap on how much you can ask, or there must be a calculation based on the value of your property and maybe the amenities or the perks that your apartment comes with. There must be a way to calculate a maximum rent that you can ask for. How does rent control work? We say you can't charge this much for a property that costs this much. This is how much you're paying on your bond. You cannot ask 10% more than your bond. Do you know what I mean? Something like that. And if rent control alone doesn't work, because these guys are selling their stuff quickly so that they can do Airbnb. Barcelona, or the whole of Spain, banned Airbnb completely because they had a similar problem. But I don't think South Africa is that anti-free market. We do like to be graped a little bit, but not this hard. So a cap on Airbnb and how Airbnb is charging, because the pricing models similar to what's the name is doing, Uber, but Uber maybe is pricing too low. I don't know, but these guys are able to systematically raise prices and do these weird deals where you think you are getting a bargain and you are not. So other than rent control, do we have the ability to put caps on things like Airbnb and how those things work? And also, in between all these dope places, we must allocate space for low income housing. Not ugly apartments, low income housing, like 2-bedroom apartments that go for the normal 6K, 8K in those same areas. It's not like you're gonna degrade the place. It's not saying you are selling to you're not turning the area into a hostel. It's not like the projects where you're putting poor people where generally areas will be degraded. But that being said, that's my bias. That's my bias or classism or racism against colored and black people. But what if, I just thought of another solution. What if when you put the projects or low income housing in these areas, now the building with the low income housing, which is decent people, now have access to proper service delivery, the proper service delivery that the rich people have in their areas. Now you're in the rich area, they can't ignore you because a burst pipe on your side, they can see it. They're also going to complain about it. So now low income areas will not get dilapidated as quickly. You won't find drug dens popping up because police presence is going to be higher the same way, and the areas are going to be safer the same way the rich areas were all along. Now the problem with the hood is there's no police presence, there's no service delivery, which makes it harder to live there, and a lot of people give up in those situations, and that's why those places go down. They start having gents sitting on the corners the whole day. You start having drunk people all over the place. You start having a scourge of drugs. Now, boom, I just fixed my racism and my classism. Put low income housing in those areas. Then you can up your prices. So either we do a rent cap and low income housing, or at least just low income housing in those same areas. What do you think? What do you think? Yeah, guys, that's all I have time for. This must either inspire us to work harder. Let's get into the property business while there are still gaps. Eventually there are going to be no gaps for us to get into. Let's figure out, let's seek advice. Let's listen to people who've had money. People don't mind sharing. If you're just willing to listen and humble yourself, I think people don't mind sharing. Let's get into the property business. Thank you for watching. I'm Emilio Tobias. This is the On the Contrary podcast. Let me know, man. Let me know. What would you have been willing to pay for the 2-bedroom apartment in Greenpoint? That's all we have for today. Thank you. Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the On the Contrary podcast.
Am I allowed to swear in here?
And swear, man.
Yeah, I know we said let's not blame the government.
It's just sad when we start them becoming indoctrinated. Your view on me.